States, and we are live from San Francisco, home of the second place San Francisco 49ers. I want to start with a quick shout out to WBFF and WNUV in Baltimore, home of the world champion Baltimore Ravens. And would somebody there send me an email and let me know if Darren Shapiro has come back to work yet? He's probably still partying and enjoying the newfound world championship for the Baltimore Ravens. Our session today is on onboarding. And if you're a manager and you've been a manager for any length of time, you've probably kept a non-performing employee in place too long, at least once in your career. And if you think back on that, you think of the cost, the manpower cost, the financial cost, the impact on your organization, the peers that worked around this person for them staying on too long. That's what today is about. Today is about how you take high performers and ramp them up quickly. It's how you take non-performers and move them out quickly. Our presenter today is Gest. Merritt is one of a handful of people that are certified in emotional intelligence as well as cultural transformation. Bottom line is this: she is an expert in your most important resource that you have, and that's people. And that's what she's here today. She's here to talk to us, to share with us her ideas, her onboarding process to get these people up to speed fast. She's delivered programs all over North America. She travels actually more than I do, which is hard to do, throughout the United States and Canada. She's worked with Microsoft. She's worked with major corporations all throughout the United States and Canada. Her father actually started in the newspaper business at a very young age. She decided to go into radio. She was one of the youngest general sales managers in radio in the city of Chicago. She understands our industry, she understands our business, and she is a fantastic presenter. We are excited to have her here today. Gest, onboarding, getting those people up to speed fast. Thank you.
We have a lot of content to pack into the next hour today on an important and often overlooked topic of employee onboarding. So one of the things that I first have to explain is, what is onboarding? And if I have an orientation program, don't I have onboarding? No. Orientation is a subset of a much bigger picture of onboarding. So orientation is very task-oriented. It's really about getting people acclimated to the tasks of their job and filling out the paperwork. Onboarding is socializing people into the culture of your organization, and that's our topic today. So this session picks up where your hiring process left off. After you've spent all of that time and the money and the effort to get new people on board, how do you get them ramped up? And how do you move those top performers into revenue producing and productive positions as fast as possible? And what do you do with those people that somehow made it through your hiring process that probably shouldn't have? How do you weed them out quickly and identify them? So we are going to cover three main topics today. We're going to first talk about the impact on your revenue that onboarding has. You're going to have an opportunity to assess your current process, and I'm going to share with you some tips to instantly improve that process. And then you're going to have an opportunity to set some expectations so that you can catch non-performers as fast as possible and energize those top performers as fast as possible as well. But first, we have to understand the real reasons that people leave their jobs. Now, I realize that in the broadcasting industry, the problem for us is not necessarily people leaving. The problem is more likely people staying who probably shouldn't. So it's very important that we weed out those non-performers as fast as possible. Because this is a fun business, and once you're in it, why would you want to leave it? But the top 4 reasons that people leave companies are important to understand so that we can build into our onboarding strategy some solutions to the problems that have people leave. And if we work like a Letterman list from the bottom up, the 4th reason that people leave their company has to do with not enough job advancement opportunities. People want a career where they can advance and move on. The 3rd reason is that their efforts are not recognized or appreciated. People want to feel like they're doing a good job and that is being noticed by people that are important to them in their job. The 2nd reason that people leave their company has to do with money. My employer just doesn't pay enough. And this is, I think, probably a misconception. We'll get to that in a moment. And the #1 reason that people leave companies has to do with not feeling that their employer really values them. Now, this research comes from a Harris Interactive study from 2008, where they looked at They asked hiring managers, 3,000 of them, across different industries, different sizes of companies, and this is the research that they found. Now, I think that that second reason is a little misleading, because people may justify to you that the reason that they're leaving is for more pay elsewhere. But my question is, what's the reason that they looked around to see what else was out there in the first place? And typically that's one of the other three reasons. So if we can create an onboarding strategy where in the very first couple of months, or a couple of weeks rather, that somebody is working for us, we can get them acclimated and socialized so that they feel part of the team. That's going to be very important in making sure that they ramp up as fast as possible and stay for the long term, because we want those top performers to stay put. There are a couple of points of research I'd like to share with you, because most of the companies that try to have a retention plan deal with that second reason. So they come at the problem from the money first. So rather than just showing people how much they value and appreciate them, they might throw some more money at the problem. And research has shown that 62% of employers plan to increase compensation for their existing employees, where 32% will offer higher starting salaries for new employees. So I'm here to tell you, stop throwing money at the problem. If you can just deal with the other three and bake into your onboarding process some more ways for people to feel valued and appreciated, you can keep some of that money for some of the other stuff, like training. So there are two main purposes for onboarding. One is to ramp up your top performers as fast as humanly possible. And the second is to weed out the non-performers as fast as humanly possible. Those people that slip through your hiring process, they said all the right things, and then they really can't execute the job once they get it. So let's take a look at the truth about the cost of your turnover. In your packet, you have a sheet titled "The Truth About the Cost of Your Turnover." And there are two main buckets of costs that are involved in the true cost. One has to do with your recruiting costs, all of the money that you spend toward anything that goes to recruiting, the advertisements, the time that you spend in interviews, all of that. The second cost has to do with keeping non-performers in their job too long. And that's where we're going to focus our time today. Now, why do we keep these non-performers? Well, in a recent conversation with a sales manager, and we're going to use a sales position as our main example today, but everything that we're talking about today is easily applicable to any other type of position in your company. But a sales manager that I was talking with recently shared a story with me that he had kept a salesperson in a job about 6 months longer than he knew that the guy wasn't going to cut it in that role. Well, why did he do that? 3 reasons. First of all, he held out hope that the guy that he interviewed, that showed up with all the right answers, that really, that came with great references, that someday that guy would show up to the job, that guy he interviewed. The second reason is he was just too busy to start that search process over again. I mean, that's a long process when you think of sifting through the resumes and doing all the phone interviewing and meeting people face to face. That's a lengthy process, and he was, frankly, just too busy for it. And the third reason is he was too busy to train somebody new. He had already invested 6 months or 8 months really in this other guy who was already in the job, and he was just really hoping that all of the effort that he put into training this individual would some point pay off for him. So he was just too busy to start over and train from scratch. Until we did the math. Once we did the math and he realized how expensive it was to keep a non-performer in that job, he changed his mind. So let's do some math together. In this example, this is an example of a TV station that kept a salesperson in a job 6 months too long. Now, there are the obvious costs that you would consider of their salary and benefits. And in this example, these numbers may not be the accurate numbers for your station. And in a moment, you're going to have an opportunity to put pencil to paper and create your accurate numbers. It's very important that you know, and that every person who touches your hiring process knows with accuracy what it costs for keeping a non-performer. So these are just some of the costs, and if we just consider salary and benefits, you're at $37,200 in just 6 months for keeping a non-performer, using some just general industry averages. If we continue that further, we look at the time involved, and when you really think about a manager and how much time they're spending to get their new hire up to speed, it wouldn't be unusual to expect that 10 hours a week is just going toward that interaction with that new hire. So if you think about that new hire's interaction with a local sales manager, a national sales manager, a vendor development director, a promotions manager, a traffic manager, the list goes on and on. It's not hard to come up with 10 hours that are getting poured into somebody who isn't going to cut it in the long term. Then if we add in administrative time, that's another few $1,000s. So now we add the 27,000 to the numbers that we came up in the earlier slide, the 37,200, and you're at $64,200 already, and we haven't even gotten to the painful part. Think about the lost opportunity. Think about the lost customers. Think about the dollars that are not getting generated because we've got somebody who is not performing at full capacity in that role. Now, it's certainly easier to quantify when we're talking about a sales position, but again, I want to make sure that you are clear this same exercise you can do for any type of position in your company. So if we look at both the cost of the time and the effort, and then we add to that the lost opportunity, which truly is priceless. And then you add on top of that the poor morale, because I guarantee your top performers are not happy that there's some non-performers that they're working alongside. And so if we want to re-energize our top performers, we want to let them know that mediocrity doesn't cut it here. Generally, when I speak across the country at different associations and conferences and different meetings in all different industries, I ask people, who do you spend most of your time managing? And when I give them the choice of your A players, your B players, or your C players, guess what they pick? Most of their time is poured into these C players, and they're never going to get a return on that investment. This is a huge mistake. You want to get rid of those C players. Pour your time and your effort and your attention into getting the B players up to the A level. And if your A players could be even just a little bit better, you're going to see so much more productivity out of pouring your investment of time and training into those folks than your C players all day long. So you want to keep this in mind. And when you have an opportunity to do the math to see what a non-performer is costing you, there might be some phone calls happening today, and some people might be out of there by the end of the day. So let's give you an opportunity to do this exercise on your own. In your handout, take a moment. You've got a blank template. If you're not sure what the accurate numbers are for your business at this point in time, go ahead and use my examples from the template. And if you can fill in the rest of that to just start to get a clear picture of what a non-performer costs in any role in your company, that will be a good experience for you to walk out of this session. So I'm going to give you 3 minutes to just take some time and get clear about those numbers, and we'll catch you in a moment. Great. Well, I'm glad that you've done some math and you have a good, clear sense of what a non-performer costs in a position where they're not really maximizing the potential. Now, I want to share with you 10 quick tips to instantly improve your onboarding strategy. This is important because more than 25% of organizations have no formal practices of welcoming activities, like celebrating a new hire's arrival or facilitating socialization with coworkers. And you want to make sure that you are providing a welcome experience for people as they come into their new job, because they're never going to be more excited than that first day. And most companies really don't take the time to orchestrate a really thorough and welcoming, inviting process. And so these 10 tips are going to instantly improve your onboarding strategy. Here we go. Number 1, people before forms. So important to make sure that you are welcoming the person instead of just bringing them into a room where they have to fill out 3 hours of paperwork. My rule is no more than 20 minutes of paperwork at one time before you get them out and mixing with people again. Remember that people need to feel valued and appreciated. They want to feel part of the team, and the best way to do that is to get them interacting with other human beings. Number 2, greet them at the door on day 1. I know this sounds so basic, but you would be so surprised how many companies miss this very small thing. Make sure that you're there to give a handshake. I prefer it when it's the new hire's direct manager greeting them at the door. Number 3, call 2 days in advance or 2 weeks in advance to discuss dress code and lunch. Look, if they're starting on Crazy Hat Day, you don't want them to feel stupid by not showing up to work in a crazy hat. Let them know that you understand what the things are that are going to bring them the most anxiety. And research shows those 2 things are really causing stress for your new hire. So bring that stress level down, call them and tell them what the scoop is. Number 4, take their temperature at the end of every day. Get their input. Now, I don't mean their literal temperature, but ask them how their experience went that day. I like to build a plan where for the first 2 weeks, I'm having the manager check in with them at the end of the day to say, hey, is there anything we could have done that would have improved your experience for today? Anything that we could learn from? So while you're even doing your onboarding program to benefit that new hire, you're also improving it for the next time. Number 5, create a care package of your station logo gear and wrap it. Have it waiting for them on their desk. Look, you're going to give them this stuff anyway, so make an event out of it. Make a presentation. Make it fun. And better yet, if you can send it to them in advance, so there's a trigger as soon as they get the offer letter and it's signed and you get it back, boom, they get a care package in the mail with t-shirts and hats and mugs and pens and all the stuff you're going to give them anyway. Number 6, create a PA announcement or an email blast and let everybody around the station know that this new person has started and what you appreciate about them and how excited you are to have them on board, but really let everybody in on it. I can't tell you how many times I've talked with companies or with new hires who've told me horror stories about situations where they walked in and the receptionist wasn't even expecting them. That's inexcusable. Number 7, ask 10 people or 20 people or 3 people you pick, but ask them to sign their name on a welcome aboard card. Put a poster in the break room and have everybody sign it. It's something simple, it's easy, but it lets somebody know you anticipated my being here, and that is so important. All right, little warning on these next ones. These next few are a little bit more outrageous, so I'm gonna try to expand your creativity, and I want you to really think out of the box here. Some of these you're gonna like and they're gonna fit great with your culture. Others you'll snicker at and say, we could never do that. But the whole purpose is to just expand your thinking into what's possible and how you could welcome new people into your environment. So, number 8, invest in a red carpet and velvet roping. And when your new hire shows up, they walk the red carpet. There's just nothing more exciting than walking the red carpet. Now, you could use your red carpet over and over again. You might welcome clients into the station with the red carpet treatment one time. You might celebrate big events or anniversaries. You'll use it a lot, but it's fun and it creates a great visual. So you can have somebody doing videotaping as somebody's walking in and walking the red carpet, and then boom, that finds its way to YouTube. Now you've got a recruitment strategy, because I guarantee you that new hire is going to show that video clip to whoever will watch it. And people will scratch their head and say, my company didn't onboard me like that. I didn't get a red carpet. Kind of cool. Number 9, learn their beverage of choice in the morning, non-alcoholic, and greet them at the door with it when they arrive on their first day. Now, I love this tip for so many reasons. First of all, it incorporates more of the senses. And anytime you can incorporate more of your senses, it's more of a memorable experience. It also makes for a great story afterwards. And it shows that you have to really be thinking about how you are going to welcome somebody when they do start. So you'd have to be thinking about that during the interview process. So somebody has to think, well, during the interview process, they're getting the interviewee some coffee and say, gosh, you know, if we had the entire Starbucks array of choices here, what would you order? And they say, oh, I'm a vanilla soy latte girl. Great. File that little bit of information away. New hire shows up, vanilla soy latte. Whoa, that's different. I wasn't expecting that. But it's exciting, and it's making that person feel more comfortable instantly. They've got their comfortable beverage in hand, the familiar smells, and they feel welcomed into the environment. And it's that welcome feeling that they get that's going to lead them to being productive and more willing to put in that discretionary effort that is absolutely critical in the broadcasting industry. Number 10, invite their spouse or significant other to lunch on week 2, week 2, week 3. And the important purpose of this is to welcome them both into the family, the company family. But also, more strategic than that, someday your new hire is going to come home from work having had a really bad day. And if there's nobody back at home that's going to fight for you, that bad day is going to multiply. But if you've had a direct experience with somebody that they have at home, then that person might fight for you and say, you know, Charles wasn't such a bad guy. Huh, I didn't get that impression. And so you've got somebody fighting for you in your corner. Now on your handout, there's a little bit of an error. There's a number 11, but number 10 and 11 have been combined. So that's the top 10 list. Now, you're gonna have an opportunity to just take a moment, think through some of those ideas. What could you realistically implement right away? Which ideas did you like? Which ideas gave you some other creative ideas that you could do? And so I'd like you to just give you 3 minutes to take a look at that list. And if you were to do all of them, about how much time would that take? Most of the time when I ask that question, it's under 3 hours to do everything on that list. You don't have to do everything, but that's a very small amount of time for the payoff and how long those stories are going to circulate afterwards. So I'm going to give you 3 minutes to just take a look at the list and decide what you are going to implement right away. So discuss with your group which of the instant tips you can and will implement, or brainstorm new ways to assimilate a new hire into your culture or re-engage your current staff. Now, one of the questions that I get when I do that exercise with groups is, aren't the people that I currently have that weren't greeted at the door by walking the red carpet or with a favorite beverage in mind, aren't they going to be a little upset that they weren't onboarded like that? And the answer is yes, they will be annoyed. So how you would get around that is you would involve them in the process. Involve them in the process of creating these exciting new experiences. Let them know, hey, we're going to make a concerted effort to bring people on and welcome them into our environment in some new and creative ways. What do you think we can do? What works with our culture? And as soon as you invite them into the process, you're addressing that number one reason that people leave their job in the first place, which is they don't feel valued. So by even asking them that question, they're feeling valued, they're feeling more important, and more importantly, when you do implement one of their ideas, it makes the new hire feel good, and it makes that current employee feel good as well. So lots of benefits all the way around. Next, I want to share with you a professional onboarding preparation task list. Now, this on the screen, I realize it's a little